welcome back to Bunny Banter, the first and only podcast for everything Killer Bunnies. I'm your host, Matt, here with co-host Mikey.
Hello.
And as a guest today, we have Chris again.
Yay!
What are we doing today, Mikey?
Today we are going to go through and we're going to talk about our top three carrots in the blue deck.
Cards.
Oh, yeah, cards, sorry. Top three cards in the blue deck. But then we're also going to go through and we're each going to say what Matt has labeled as the ban card or one card from the blue deck that we do not like and why.
Yeah, so this is the start of a lengthy series. So because the series is going to be so long, we're going to do it every other episode is the format we're currently planning. But so this is the review for the blue booster. Specifically, blue will save yellow for the next episode, 4 weeks from now. So yes, as Mikey mentioned, we will have the ban card first, and that is a card that for some reason or any reason we don't like this card. It could be because we view the card as too toxic and we hate it when it's played against us. It could be that we hate drawing the card because it's not fitting into our strategy. As we talk about each card, we'll give our reasoning. Same goes for the cards that we like. Maybe we love the artwork, as Jonathan has excellent artwork. Maybe we like the mechanic. Maybe it fits perfectly into one of our strategies. Maybe we like the theme. As we talk about, as each person talks about their favorite card, they will give the reasoning. Okay, and for those watching on YouTube, I will have the images of the cards on screen. For those on Anchor, these cards are familiar enough that I won't feel the necessity to read them off because these are starter set cards. But before we do that, we have a exciting announcement to make. Jeff and Jonathan will be guesting on the next Bunny Banter episode.
Yay!
It is not time to announce Cake Batter yet. I'm sure we'll have them on again once that time comes. No idea when that will be. But next episode, we will be admiring some of Jonathan's excellent artwork and talking about the inspirations behind it. So make sure to catch that one for Jeff and Jonathan. Always exciting to have celebrities on the show. Although Chris is a celebrity as well with his prophecy strats.
Okay.
Okay. So let's get right into the list. I'm going to start with my ban card. We'll start with the ban card so we end on a high note with the number ones. Putting the images on screen right now. My ban card is the half price coupon. The reason why I don't like to face the half price coupon is because I almost picked this one as one of my top cards actually because I'm a big fan of the neutral aggressive strategy hidden investments, which you keep a lot of strong cards in your hand and use them in the late game. This is an excellent example of that, but in the full set, I do consider it very toxic because all of a sudden the game can end much quicker than the other players anticipated, and it feels pretty bad when you're on the losing end of that. I know a game recently, within the past couple months, Chris did that where, there were maybe 20, 25, 30 carrots remaining, and Chris played half price coupon from the hand and ended the game instantly. And it was a 3-player game, and one of the players didn't even have a bunny. So it's a very high impact card. Provides huge burst amounts of dollar if you have dollar saved up. So that's why I put it as my ban card, because I do believe it is quite toxic. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I picked the Heavenly Halo, and it's not because I dislike the card. I actually quite enjoy the card, but I feel like in starter set especially, there is much less removal for it. I believe once you get it, you kind of have a bunny towards the end of the game in most cases if you're playing correctly. It's a really hard out when you're first starting out in beginner set. So that's why I put it on my list.
Okay, I think it's my turn now.
That's right.
All right, my band card is the Mad Mad Donolith Bakery. The first reason is it's the name is way too long, and I can't pronounce it very well. It's the first reason I don't like this card. The second one is, as Matt kind of mentioned before, like, why are we banning some of these cards? Why don't we like them? Perhaps they don't fit in our strategy. This just doesn't fit. I don't like the whole gambling aspect. Normally, if I get this, I'll either just leave it in my hand, which is maybe a poor choice, or I'll run it through and I'll save it, and I'll never use it. Or if I do, I will never play it on myself. I always play it on somebody else, because I don't want to risk having to either spend money or lose a bunny. I would much rather have an opponent gain a bunny with the hopes of them, but I would rather play this on them with the hopes of them losing a bunny or having to pay, and then having them end up gaining a bunny. Like, that doesn't necessarily affect me. Or not a bunny, but a carrot, sorry. Or water or cabbage or whatever. That doesn't necessarily affect me immediately. Whereas otherwise I risk losing a bunny. An interesting thing that I noticed when I was analyzing this card is that the first three options, the good, I guess it's the first two options, the good options, if you roll a 10, 11, 12, choose a carrot from Kabbalah's Market, or 7, 8, or 9, take one cabbage card and one water card, they end with a period. Those are good things, but they end with a period. Now you go down, feed the bunny one cabbage and one water unit. That ends with an exclamation point. The bunny gets whacked by the Mad Scotsman. That's another exclamation point. Or a well-thrown pitchfork kills the bunny and adjacent bunnies. That is also an exclamation point. Why are the bad things listed with an exclamation point and the good things with a period? I don't know. Those are the mysteries of Jeff. But anyway, that's my thoughts about this card. I don't like it.
Okay. So those were each of our ban cards. I suppose you could almost consider these cards, if we were to remix Killer Bunnies, perhaps we would take these out for each of us, in some ways. In other ways, these are perhaps cards that we just don't want to see and draw on, or we don't want to draw ourselves. Is probably the more accurate description. Once we get to the Jarnac and Chocolate several episodes from now, I'm sure Mikey would like that one physically removed from the game.
That one could have never existed.
Okay, so now we get to move on to a more positive note. Our top 3 favorite cards from the Blue Booster. I'm going to start with my number 3 here. Carrot number 1, Tucker. So why on earth did I pick a carrot as my top 3? The reason is Tucker fits perfectly into my one of my favorite passive strategies, which is called the last shall be first. One variant of that is the 1-1-1 challenge, which is to have 1 with carrot 1 as your 1 carrot. So the goal is to win the game with only Tucker. And that is of course, very difficult thing to do. Even in the starter set with only 12 carrots, you have a 1 in 12 chance. Remix is a 1 in 15 chance. Full set used to be a 1 in 54. London just came out, it's now a 1 in 58. That's a very low chance of success, but that makes it a really exciting passive strategy, and it really makes the end drawing extra exciting. Not to mention, when you're claiming to go for the 1-1-1 challenge, it very easily, because you're presumably trading off your other carrots, you can very easily transition into a neutral aggressive hidden investments, because you've been trading for money and bunnies and other save specials or whatever you've been trading for, and very quickly you can gain some advantage for being very passive in the early game in terms of your carrot count. So that's why I picked Tucker as my number 3 choices, because he fits perfectly into that strategy. You could presumably do it with any other carrot, but 1-1-1 challenge has a much better ring to it than 1-2-1 challenge if you do it with Abu. It doesn't quite make as much sense, so that's why I picked Tucker.
What, number 3 for me? Is that what you're?
Yep.
My number 3, and Matthew might be upset, but that's okay. I picked the half price coupon. I thoroughly enjoy playing this card. It makes the game accelerate towards the end and makes other people play around it. It also rewards you for being really lucky and drawing money. Another aspect of it is it's so easy to just keep in your hand and save until the right moment. A lot of people save this, but then that gives the other players an opportunity to steal or trade for it, which isn't necessarily what you want to do. It's just a powerful card, and I needed to put it on the list because I've won too many games with it.
Yeah, excellent choice. I'm not upset you put it on the list. I'm more so upset when you draw it. Okay, Mikey, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Free Agent. I just think that this was a really cool card. It seems rather simple and rather, like obvious. But it's really a neat card. The idea that you can draw this and it can be anything you want except for red or pink for obvious reasons. But I don't know, I like the double free agent better actually, but this is a cool one too. I just think you get in a position where you could potentially have a triplet, and then lo and behold you have this free agent. And there it is. And then say you have, 2 violet bunnies and 2 orange bunnies or whatever. You have the free agent and then you have a triplet. And then somebody comes along and kills one of your violet bunnies, well you still have a triplet. It's just like, I just think this is a really neat card. And I'm wondering about the process that they went through where they just like, we need, or they, meaning Jeff and Jonathan, where they're like, we need to have something like this, or did it take them a while of playing and developing the game to realize that, maybe we should have a bunny that can be whatever bunny we want? So, I don't know. I just think it's neat. It was a creative idea. It seems rather simple, but I think it's effective.
Yeah, I really like the free agent as well. I didn't pick it as one of my picks, but especially in full set because the free agent is not necessarily as threatening as a lot of the bunnies in full set. So it has good value over a standard bunny, but isn't actually much of a threat. So that's some really cool interactions there, even on simple cards such as this. Okay, so moving on to the number 2 pick. The suspense is killing me, even though I already know the list. My number 2, I hope Mikey isn't upset, is the Mad Donath Bakery. There's a couple reasons I like this one. I'm a big fan of 2 strategies that this card fits under, or 3. Depend 2 more specifically. One strategy I already mentioned is the hidden investments neutral aggressive. You can very easily keep a card like this in your hand and just have that burst carrot generation, you could call it. So let's pretend I have the red pawn. Playing the baker directly from my hand has some benefits. I could get a carrot out of it. That's flexible. With the reroll and the red pawn, that's actually fairly decent chances. It's a 1 in 4 to get a carrot, so therefore 2 opportunities at 1 in 4, not bad. And the alternative good result of cabbage and water is okay as well. The more exciting part is the negative effects. As Mikey mentioned, they have exclamation points on them to emphasize, hey, these are scary things that could happen. So since there are half of the dice results are scary things, it's very common to instead play the baker on your opponent. So if you want to consider it as such, assuming they don't have cabbage or water, this is a 50% chance to kill at least one bunny. You know, 4, 5, or 6, feed the bunny one cabbage, one water. That bunny is going to starve to death because it's a feed immediately situation. They can't use their prune Danish. They can't buy resources because it's your turn. So they're going to be stuck if they don't have the cabbage or water saved. 2 or 3, of course, kills the bunny, and a 1 is the result you're really looking for when playing on an opponent, because they also kill adjacent bunnies. And it's a very low risk for it to happen, but it happens more often than you would think. You know, if you have 1 red pawn or 2 red pawns, or a year and a half from now 4 red pawns, you know, get double red, double white on red, 5 opportunities to get that roll of a 1, you can very easily save this card till the late game and very quickly remove players' bunnies from the bunny circle without much chance for retaliation, because obviously this isn't a weapon, it's not a feed the bunny card. So there are very few very specials that can directly counter this. For example, let's see. I was going somewhere with that. So it has large impacts in the late game, so it fits perfectly into the hidden investment strategy. Also, the other strategy that I really like to play this card in is the passive strategy of the Gambler, which the Gambler is a player who takes unnecessary risks that are against expected value in order to, one, if they get it, good for them. Usually low chance results are celebrated. If they don't get it, still good for them, because passive strategy has the aspect of attrition, where removing your own economic value is actually a good thing in some circumstances. So if I'm playing that gambler strategy, I will very commonly play the bakery on myself without the opportunity for reroll. And thereby, if I get the carrot, it was random. Players probably aren't going to retaliate from it, at least in my groups that I play in. If I don't get it, I accomplish attrition strategy. Great. One more important aspect that I want to talk about before I move on from this card is, especially in starter sets, the closed market situation, because whenever the market is closed, any cards that would normally gain those resources, besides choose the carrot as the exception, do no longer gain those resources. So if the market is closed, 10, 11, and 12 now do nothing because you can't get the carrots. 7, 8, and 9 now do nothing because you can't get the cabbage or water. So this actually fits into one more category of strategies, where if the market is closed, all of a sudden this card has no benefits. It is perfect to play on your opponent, so therefore it fits perfectly into aggressive strategy. In fact, I've commonly used intimidation along with this card, where it's like, hey, market's closed, you can get nothing out of this. If you give me $2, I will not play this baker on you and give you a 50% chance to lose a bunny. You know, they often take that deal because they don't want to lose a bunny. They don't want to lose 3 bunnies. Very scary. And because of that, you can accomplish intimidation with a special card, which is very strong in the sense that if I agree not to play it, I could agree not to play it just for this turn, because I can keep it saved. Well, in contrast with something like a weapon, if I am intimidating a player to not play it, then I'm probably going to have to discard it that turn, because otherwise I've wasted the turn. With the special, I can threaten it, have future threats, unless the players perhaps bribe me extra to waste the special on something else. So very flexible card altogether, but you have to be willing to do the gambling type strategies, which Mikey doesn't fit Mikey's playstyle, so I completely understand that. But it fits my playstyle perfectly. I've been told I have a gambling problem. Probably true. Don't let me in Vegas.
Oof. Well, my number 2 is carrot number 7, Presto. Those that have played with me know I have a knack for knowing which carrot's going to win. Some people call it prophecy. I just call it luck. Oh, I'm sorry. What? Who said that?
Luck for 4 instances of 1 in 54? Buy a
Well,
lottery ticket!
no, it honestly though, Presto has been on the receiving end of that a couple of times. I've won other games without that with Presto. He's just been very lucky. He's always been a good carrot to have. It always feels bad when Matthew plays with me alone and I get Presto. He has that little bad taste in his mouth, like, oh shoot, he got Presto. So it's been a good carrot for me. That's why I put it on the list. I wanted to have one carrot on the list anyway, so.
Okay.
Okay, so my number 2 is drought. Now, I guess there are a couple reasons. The first one, the picture on it reminds me of something I learned in confirmation. Our pastor was really big into drawing. Like there was this whole desert, and he would draw a cactus on the whiteboard and all these things. Anyway, that it reminded me of that. So, but I think that and actually I overlooked this one a lot, but it's a pretty useful card, especially if you have somebody who maybe has forever water or something like that. Or, this is a good one. If you are deciding that you're going to play, say, maybe a feed the bunny, and it's, well, just a general feed the bunny, perhaps somebody has a proton resequencer, and they only have water. So you just put drought on them, and then you put the feed the bunny on them. And it's a beautiful marriage of cards. And then they can't do anything. So, I don't know. I like this card. I like the artwork. And I like what it can do. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So now the moment everyone's been waiting for, the number 1 picks for our favorite cards from the blue booster. Although it's weird to consider blue and yellow separate, but as I was picking my list and as Chris was picking his, we both happened to pick just blue cards, so we decided we'd better feature yellow in a separate list. Okay, number 1 for me in the blue booster, one of my favorite cards for a while. I've moved on to other cards being my favorite, but this is still one of my favorites from the blue booster, Poverty Poker. So Poverty Poker, of course, is the card that allows the player to name the stakes for players to gamble. So say, for example, you said 2 bunnies, and every player with at least 2 bunnies would have to place 2 bunnies in the pot. Everyone who participated would roll a die. The player gets a reroll, so they have a statistical advantage. It is great fun because the player rolls the highest, gets the entire pot, and it creates the giant swing turn. And there's a lot of mechanics in Killer Bunnies that allow for those big swing turns that makes the game really exciting, because one player could be ahead, but then all of a sudden, Poverty Poker, I'm going to gamble everything against this one player, and if I win this, I have taken everything he has, and if I lose this, he's taken everything I have. I have a statistically higher chance of winning it. Very exciting. A very flexible card. There's a couple scenarios. There's the scenario where you're playing mainly against one player. You basically name everything that the 2 players have in common. Benefits to doing that is you have a higher chance of succeeding since you're only rolling against one player. So it's 2 rolls versus 1, ignoring other rerolls. Usually you'd play this when you have something like a red timid in play as well, just to make it extra safe. That's an important thing to note with these gambling type cards, is if you're going to use them in an aggressive manner or a neutral manner, you really need to make sure that you're doing so where you're statistically more likely to win, and calculating that is quite fun as well. But the other scenario is also interesting where let's pretend we're in an 8-player game. Probably everyone has at least one bunny or one carrot, so you could do something like poverty poker for one carrot. If you lose, you've only lost a carrot, but the winner has gained 7 carrots. They get their 1 carrot back plus one other from all the other players. That's really exciting, gaining 7 carrots. So there's some very exciting mechanics that can happen with poverty poker. There's even a potential false trade that I've theorized uh, involving the first scenario, where if you manage your trades correctly, you could put yourself in a state where you and one opponent have pretty much equal economic status. So you both have 3 bunnies, you both have 7 carrots. Very weird trade mechanics that have to happen there. Very sneaky trades, but then you surprise them with poverty poker, gamble literally everything you have and everything they have, and wipe that one player out of the game. Hopefully, hopefully, everything could go wrong, which is very exciting. Especially if you're the other player, and it's like, oh no, everything could go wrong. I could be eliminated from the game, and you roll that 12, create some very exciting suspenseful moments where the game could be decided on this one card, especially in the starter set, where in this one the game is short enough that this one card could be impactful enough to just swing the game in one player's favor. In full set, if it happens late game, the game will swing in their favor for it. But if it happens in the more early to mid game, other high impact cards could swing it back in the opponent's favor who lost everything. So very exciting card.
Big plays, big plays.
Big plays from this card. When you're playing it, make sure to have those rerolls. You know, especially hidden investments rerolls. Perhaps you have a couple very specials in your hand that have the reroll, so your opponents think they have a better chance than they actually do, and then you surprise them with your very special and hope they don't have something similar. It creates some very exciting scenarios.
Well, obviously, my number one pick is Kabbalah's Market. You know, that $3 cabbage and water is so much value, and you have to win the game by buying carrots. No, I'm just kidding. That is not my favorite card. I was gonna continue with talking about the artwork, but I'll stop.
I thought your favorite artwork was on the 10 Kabbalah dollar.
It is that yellow color. Very good choice, Jonathan. Very good choice. No, my favorot card.
It wasn't a good choice.
No, it was a good choice. Good choice. That's what I said. Good choice.
Then you said no.
No. My favorite actual card is green gelatin with evil pineapple chunks. Level 2 weapon. Boy, does it hit hard. With that spicy artwork and being able to shout pineapple chunks when you play it is one of the greatest feelings in the game. And it's a level 2 weapon, so people aren't going to play any defense cards on it. But when it hurts hard. That's my favorite card in blue set.
Excellent choice.
Pineapple!
Okay.
Okay. All right. So mine. My favorite card has absolutely nothing to do with what it does. It's roaches. A level 5 weapon. In the middle. Not really going to be much of a threat. Could hurt you. Could kill you. You could use rerolls on it. But I just think that the artwork is so neat. Especially, there's a little sign in the corner. If you're on YouTube, you'll see. And there's one that says, Bunnies, the other white meat. And that relates to, that is an allusion to a slogan that said, pork, the other white meat, which was an advertising slogan developed by advertising agency Basil Jacobs, Kenyon, and Eckhart in 1987 for the National Pork Board. Thank you, Wikipedia. Anyway, that little sign, that little illusion, is my favorite part of the card. I don't care that it's a weapon. I honestly don't use weapons all that much. Although there was one point where there was one game, I think it was the last game I played, where all I wanted was weapon. I just wanted a single weapon. And I literally I did not get a weapon almost the entire game. It was awful. So I would have appreciated this as a weapon. But no, I just like the artwork. This is kind of almost a weak card because you have is it pest elimination? Bug off, yeah, pest elimination. My dad's an exterminator, but they apparently call themselves pest eliminators. So I don't know. Anyway, bug off, yeah. So this is almost kind of a weak card because this is one of the few lower value weapons cards that has another card that counteracts it. So yeah, it's not even that effective as a weapon. I mean, it could be, but also I was not aware that roaches ate rabbits. That's slightly disturbing. But
well, rabbits eat rabbits with bunnies too.
I suppose. I wonder if rabbits eat rabbits in real life.
They do. I've seen it happen.
Chickens eat chickens in real life.
Today I learned.
So, anyway, that's my favorite card out of the whole thing. I don't know. I just went through this morning and I'm like, what do I like? I'm like, I like this one. The artwork's real nice. So, congratulations, Jonathan. You've taken a relatively ineffective card and made it my favorite. So,
there we go. So that's the end of our list. These episodes will be shorter. We ended up around a bit over half an hour. Like I said, these review episodes will be every other episode, so every 4 weeks. In between, we will have more so the types of episodes that more so what we did before London News started, where we would do some sort of topic. For next episode, we'll be doing a discussion on the thematic artwork, some cards that we want to feature of Jonathan's artwork. A few episodes after that, that's looking very far away right now. That's 6 weeks away. I have arranged with Joe Slack to come back and guest on the episode to talk about house rules. So that should be interesting. If you want to send in some of your favorite house rules that you would like us to discuss, and maybe see if we can fix some inconsistencies that might exist, because creating house rules is a lot of work. Lots of research has to be done. But yeah, so that's 6 weeks away. Looking very far forward. But after that point, if anyone has any topic suggestions for us or would like to be a future guest, let us know. For these review episodes, to stay consistent, we will have Chris guesting on all of them, so that's exciting.
Yay!
More guest time for Chris.
I gotta pay the bills.
That's right, pay the bills. The 10% of our nearly non-existent revenue for every episode he's in. So,
yay!
I'm getting that bread.
All of our guests get that, but there isn't a relevant amount to distribute at this point. So, of course, that is pretty much meaningless. That's all right. Okay, so on that note, thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this type of episode, and we will be continuing them, at least up until we get news for cake batter, and then we'll probably take a quick break on these types of episodes, since of course we'll be busy discussing new cards. Yay, new cards are exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably also include somewhere in there once we've played with London Booster a few times, since it's now officially out. Hooray!
Yeah,
Haven't received my copy yet, as far as I know.
I'm
I'm sure
still
it's coming. I'm
waiting.
sure it's coming soon. But that's very exciting. So once we get a few games in with that, we'll probably have looking back at our predictions type episode to see what we were right on and what we were wrong on, and see if certain cards are just as relevant or irrelevant as we predicted. Very exciting.
mm-hmm.
Okay, anything you'd like to say, Mikey?
I would like to say that if you would like to send me fan mail, that would be greatly appreciated.
There we go. Send Mikey fan mail. I believe the best method is homing pigeon.
Yes. Although, if you can find a passenger pigeon, which is extinct, but if you find a passenger pigeon, I will accept one of those. You don't even have to do any fan mail. You can just send me one of those. But
There we go.
anyway, I shall now bid you or say, Jeff bless.
Jeff bless.